In this video, we're going to talk about manufacturing cycle efficiency, MCE, throughput time, and delivery cycle time. So we'll start our discussion on delivery cycle time. So delivery cycle time, it looks at how long in days it takes us for the company to go from an order received to the goods shipped to the customer. So how long does it take us to actually not only process the order, but start production, finish production, and ship the good to the customer. So delivery cycle time, it is composed of wait time, so the time between receiving an order and actually starting production, and then process time, where you actually process the product, inspection time, inspecting the product, move time, moving it from necessary stations and places throughout the plant, and then queue time, so any time that it's sitting in a queue waiting to be worked on. So when we add all of those together, that all together is delivery cycle time, meaning how long does it take us in days to go from order received to goods shipped. Throughput time, that is everything except wait time. So it doesn't look at the time we wait for the order to actually be started. We just look at how long does it take us to actually start production all the way through to the goods being shipped. Now, when we look at process time, inspection time, move time, and queue time, process time is the only value-added time when we're looking at delivery cycle time or throughput time. It's the only time that adds value to the product. It's the only thing that adds value when we're actually processing the product. Now, throughput time and delivery cycle time, those are calculations on its own. But then we can take that a step further and calculate manufacturing cycle efficiency. Basically, how efficient are we with our time? So the manufacturing cycle efficiency is calculated by taking value-added time, which is process time, divided by manufacturing cycle time. And manufacturing cycle time is the same as your throughput time. Those are one and the same. So now that we know what those definitions are, let's apply it to an example. So it says a TQM team at Norton Corp has recorded the following average times for production. So wait, inspection, process, move, and queue. So as our first calculation, let's find our delivery cycle time. Okay, our DCT. Let's find our delivery cycle time. Well, that is composed of everything, right? So wait time all the way through queue time. So we'll add together all of these numbers here. So it's going to be 3 days plus 0.4 plus 0.2 plus 0.5 plus 9.3 days. So our delivery cycle time here, let's see what that comes out to. It's 3 plus 0.4 plus 0.2 plus 0.5 plus 9.3. So that's 13.4 days. So that's how long it takes us once we get an order, to have production get started and finally to get the product finished and out the door. So that's the overall delivery cycle time, is 13.4 days. Now, what about our throughput time or our manufacturing cycle time? So our throughput, we can do this a couple of ways. We know throughput time is everything except wait time. So if you know your delivery cycle time, you can simply take the 13.4 days and subtract out that wait time of 3 days. So here we can see that our throughput time comes out to 10.4 days overall. Another way we could have found that is just by adding up all these times separately and just excluding those 3 days. Then finally, we're going to find our manufacturing cycle efficiency. So basically, how efficiently are we using our time? In other words, what percent of this throughput time is actually consisting of value-added time? So here, what's our value-added time? Processing time is the only value-added time. So we're going to take 0.2 days, divide that by the total amount of throughput time of 10.4 days. So if we take 0.2 divided by 10.4, we can see if we round that to the nearest percent, that's about nearest decimal, that'd be 1.9%. So in other words, 1.9% of the total amount of days it takes for us to go from starting production to shipping the goods, only 1.9% of that time here is being spent on value-added time, is being actually spent on processing. The rest of it is spent on inspection, move time, and queue time. And we can see here, where's most of the time being spent? Most of this time here is being spent on queue time. Let's see what queue time is as a percentage of total throughput time. 89%. So 89% of the time spent on actually getting the product out the door is actually spent with the product just sitting there in a queue waiting to be worked on. So at this point, this would probably be depending on the kind of company, what's being made. We don't know to what extent that queue time can be eliminated and to what extent this company is employing lean manufacturing concepts and similar strategies. But at this point, a manager can go, that's really low. That's a really small percentage of our total time actually being spent on value-added time or value-added activities. What can we do? We can see here that queue time is really high in proportion to everything else. How can we increase our MCE? Well, there's a couple of things we can do. Well, you can increase the total amount of process time, but if this is already as efficient as it gets, what else can we do? Well, you can go ahead and try to reduce your throughput time by eliminating, whenever possible, any non-value added activities and time. Queue time is probably one of the least important and most wasteful things to spend time on, right? Products just sitting there in a queue. So what a manager could likely do at this point is say, let's get together, meet with the other managers, meet with the workers, and see what can we do to, if at possible, reduce this queue time, even if it means just reducing it a little bit or completely. It's possible to reduce that queue time completely if the manufacturing process is made more efficient. So it depends on, it can be something small like changing the setup of the machines and the flow of employees from one station to the next. A bunch of different things can help us to reduce things like queue time. So here, an MCE of 1.9% is probably enough of a warning for a manager to say, okay, let's see what we can do to reduce our throughput time so we can increase the percentage of that throughput time that is actually spent on value-added activities.